Welcome to the Investor Impact Power Talks with Vinney Chopra, where investors gather to share their insights and strategies in the world of multifamily, real estate, and beyond. Get ready to be inspired and equipped for your next level of success.
Vinney, does that new federal staffing mandate, has that affected the nursing homes that
Oh, you know what? I'm so glad you're saying that. I was told state government is the states govern the assisted living and memory care and independent living. It's the rehab centers and others and hospitals, they are federally governed and their licensing is watched by the federal branches and all that. But you're right. I think from what I can tell, I was told in Florida at least that we don't even need a nurse, but we have a nurse at our facilities. And I remember this gentleman who came and shopped the property. His business plan was very different and he was making money for owners like left and right. So I think we were overdoing, and we still are overdoing over there in Punta and Cape Coral, where we have nurse all the time. And then we have another nurse for the nighttime, and then we have another nurse for the weekend because they need to be always available. And then caregiving also 3 shifts, 8 hours. So that just adds up, right? Oh, Mario is calling. Huh? Please keep on talking. Yeah.
Hey, Daryl, did you see my chat in there?
No, I missed it, Steve. I'm sorry. I missed that.
All right.
Yeah, I was looking at these National Center for Assisted Living, and they're asking the Centers for Medicare and Medi-Cal Services to rescind this federal staffing mandate. So I was thinking as far as Encore, so that may be one of the issues that he's having to deal with, because 33 states now between 2020 and 2022 have started to put in place these new regulations for staffing.
What is that like? What's the hindrance they're doing?
This is with the National Center for Assisted Living. They were saying that 2/3 of the states have updated their assisted living requirements, and much of it is around staffing. And that might be the issue that they're wrestling with right now. The guy that you're talking about, that first property we spoke about, because he may be over expenses. I was looking at the staff and I was wondering if those ratios were good ratios. I think it was 26 staff on that first one you showed us. I can't remember. Yeah. And so I was wondering, is that something?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be, I don't know if staff, it would be, but I'm just thinking if they're all co-located and all the staff is in the same building, that would be more economies of scale for him. So,
but if he's moving it to smaller facilities and he can staff more people in those smaller facilities, he can start making his money back. That may be the play, is to downsize. But he's got, let's say, 26 staff for 50 units when he should have 50 staffs for 50 units. So now he's got the staff, so he's downsizing and making his money now. That could be a serious play. I could understand that. But yeah, good research there. Daryl, you should be like a professor, teacher, PhD guy or something doing that research there. I see now. Okay.
See, but that's what Daryl can bring to any investment, is that right there. Because, you know, the reality is what you were just saying, Stephen, that might have been under a certain amount of doors. It might say it in there, Daryl, I'm not sure, that under a certain amount of beds, let's not doors, because they're called beds in that business. I'm wondering if you get under that threshold, you don't have to meet the employee requirement.
Right.
And that might be exactly what that operator is doing.
Yeah. Either that or maybe even an environmental impact report or statement, because that will drive people out of facilities here in California. If they have like gas stations, for instance, and they start leaking, you'll find a lot of operators just give up the site, and then other developers will come in and build. They'll pull the tanks out, and then they'll build a condominium there. It might be a 20 unit condominium that's 6 or 7 stories high that they'll build, because nobody wants to replace those gas tanks because they're too expensive and it costs them a lot. So environment playing a big role, at least in California. I don't know about Utah, but those things we got to be mindful of.
Yeah, and I actually, my son worked for a company. That's what they did, is environmental cleanup.
Mhm.
Everything from plane crashes to oil spills, and he worked for a company that was big on the east coast of the United States, all the way from New York down to Florida, and that's a huge business.
Mhm.
It's amazing how much it costs to clean up 2 gas tanks.
Yeah.
So, what was funny is I saw Krishna came on. Did somebody text him, or did he just?
No,
Hey,
I
there-
didn't text him.
There he is.
No,
Krishna.
I think no. I really love to attend every Wednesday. I really love to attend every Wednesday, but my behavioral health homes are going tough, and
Oh,
they are keeping me.
oh, I see. I'm still coming in and out because my 3 friends, we are getting together, but now we are coming closer to the location. No, please keep on going. Keep on
So
talking.
we-
Sorry.
Krishna, we were talking, you came up in conversation because Encore was looking at some assisted living facilities in Utah, and a couple of the operators that appeared had basically just pulled out. They were operating, and then so I was like, maybe Krishna would know what's going on, but I think Daryl found some of the reasons was these mandates that have been put on us. But I'd love to hear your thought, because you're you've done a lot of research around that, haven't you, Krishna?
Yes, right now I have 3 homes pending with Arizona State they're waiting for the license. This Friday, they scheduled me for one final inspection. Hopefully, that will go through, which is supposed to happen 2 months ago, but the department has been dragging their feet for whatever reason. And I'm eating all the mortgage payments and utility payments right now. But I have three houses sitting up with and this is not assisted living, right? This is behavioral health.
Yeah,
Health.
behavioral. I was going to say that's the
Yeah.
different one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, a slightly different one, Vinny. Hopefully,
Mhm.
get the license, but once I get the license, my next challenge is making sure my beds are going to be full. That will be the next set of challenges I have to face. On the brighter side, I know once all my 3 houses are up and running, I'll be so busy with those kids that I would not have time to take care of my primary job. So I had to say
Mhm, mhm.
adios to that, hopefully. But things are coming up together. If everything goes well,
Mhm.
I will have one license as soon as this week. I'll keep you posted on that one.
Sure, sure.
The beauty, there was some crackdown from the Arizona governor on this business. So
Oh, really? Oh,
Arizona governor has closed 400 such homes in the last 6 months.
Wow.
oh, wow, wow.
Because people were operators, they were double billing. And they got caught. They were double billing for years and years. So that is a good sign, because I'm not part of it, right? I'm just trying to open. So I'm not going to be part of that crackdown. And the supply side, the number of houses is way significantly lower than what it used to be 6 months back. I'm sure those people are going to turn around and reapply again, not under their name, but somebody else's name. But at least in the short run, that will give me an entry into customer acquisition, or into keeping my beds full. I know once I keep my beds full, I'm in the game.
It's great. You've been working hard at that, Krishna.
And
Really.
that may be one of the reasons why they're dragging their feet. They're doing background checks, trying to find out if you're in connection with any of these other people.
Fortunately,
Thank you, brother.
Yep.
All right, all right.
fortunately, I do not have a partner in this business. Myself, but some
No, that's
people
what I mean, is they're doing their due diligence and making sure of that. You said you don't, but that doesn't mean anything. They got to
Oh, of
check
course.
your Facebook and everything, and who are your friends, and oh, look, there really is no connection between him and all these other people. You're golden. Let's go. So that just could be one of the reasons why it's taken a little bit longer than it should be. Might not be, but it seems reasonable.
For sure, that's the reason. But I'm so happy that I'm not partnered with anybody.
Oh yeah,
Don't know
definitely.
partner in this business, right? And if they get caught, I will be part of that one too.
Yep. Guilt by association. Don't want
You're
that.
almost at the finish line, Krishna. That's good because I know you're the one writing the checks every month to pay these buildings.
Yeah, hopefully I'm so close. Hopefully I will cross the finishing line. I'm so
You will.
close.
It's-
I do have some good people around me. They're still with me. They're still helping me.
Good, good. All right. What else is on everyone's mind tonight?
I was thinking, David, about, since Vinny mentioned property managers, and a couple of weeks ago I mentioned brokers. What is the approach, strategy for dealing with, that's a little bit different now with those two potential sources for opportunities? Is there a different mindset than it was like a year and a half ago? Or should we have approached this with a sort of a new mindset? Because somebody mentioned here today, and it could have been Anchor, about financing. So I've been scouring the Crexy to see if I can find these properties that have potential owner financing. And also, Dave, as you mentioned a couple of weeks ago about looking at these listings that have been on the market for a couple of years and looking at them. I was just wondering, what is your thoughts about brokers and about property managers and even about owners themselves?
I tend to agree with Vinny on this subject, is that in the commercial marketplace, the brokers probably have the best connections to the deals. And like, you can find off-market deals, but it really does take a lot of time and effort. But you could spend that same amount of time with brokers and property managers, and you'll have probably better results because you don't have to work as hard to find. Remember, most owners of commercial property make themselves very hard to find through multiple companies. They might have a Wyoming corporation that everything flows up to the Wyoming corporation through K1. So it's very hard. There's property we were trying to find off market in Wisconsin, and it would have made, just for the land value. And we tried for everything, skip tracing, and there were so many companies in between companies, it was hard to find. So I said a long thing just to say, I think if you're talking to brokers, look at the length of the listing, how long it's been on the market. Why? Because if you take a listing that is a new listing, they're going to say, okay, they don't typically say, send me your financials. They do that a lot if you're trying to buy a business, but through a broker. But if you're trying to buy real estate, they'll send you what they have. You'll have a lot smoother conversation if that property's been on the market, say 365 days. Then you ask the broker, what's going on? Why does nobody want this? That's how I usually approach it. That's usually the statement I say, why does nobody want this? Because certainly you're the broker. And then they'll tell you a few things and keep asking questions. They say, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. So you said it was this or this. With property managers, a lot of times they know a seller that's in trouble because they're managing their property. If the seller's not making, and sometimes the seller might be sick or the owner is sick and they know it because maybe they're trying to get things accomplished at the property and they have trouble reaching him or her or their company, and they're smaller operators and they've held it for a long time. So that's why Vinny says property managers and brokers are the way to go.
Yeah, or they could just be tired and mama wants to go on vacation and they don't want to deal with you got to fix another. The house that we rent, every year they send somebody out to fix the air conditioner. They put a whole new one in. Our house almost burned down because it went again. They had to replace the whole thing again. The foundation is cracked. They put in 2 floors and now finally put in a third floor, the whole thing. This, I wouldn't buy this house. I wouldn't want this as a rent house. I can't believe it hasn't changed owners. It's just that I could look outside and the foundation, you can tell this is not a house that you want. And if they have 2 or 3 of those, it's like, why are we even in this? Let's get some cash flow. You just tell them, you tell the property managers, this is my buy box. This is what I'm looking for. Do you know anybody? And you're the first kid on the block. They're like, wow, this would be an easy cash flow for me. I don't even have to go out and look or wait. And this guy really wants to help me out. And correct me if I'm wrong, but brokers a lot of times are a little bit harder to work with because they know what the value is and they don't want to hear the cheap 60% offer. But a property manager, I mean, it's a little, Dave, I don't know. I could be off base on that. What do you think?
Property managers probably not going to reveal everything at first.
Yeah, just like a broker.
The broker probably won't reveal any defects unless they're in the operating memorandum, even if they know about it, because they're not obligated to. The seller is obligated to any known defects. A property manager is also not obligated to do, but a property manager, if they think you might be the next landlord, the next building owner, they're probably going to give you information that's going to make you aware that they know, but what they're going to do very carefully is tear down the existing owner in some cases. So property managers can be a great source. I know Vinny's got some deals from property managers. Is that what you were asking, Steve?
I think you cover both bases, but I was just looking at the pros and both sides. And property managers, they know when somebody's tired. They know when somebody's, like you said, sick or whatever. They know this person's a slow pay. Why? Oh, their kids are going to college and they need the money. And now they're not going to want to fix the house because they need the money for this, they need the money for that. And they're not doing the upkeep and whatever. If you make friends with them and you make friends with brokers, I just think brokers are probably hit on more than property managers. Property managers are probably hit on more by people that know what the hell they're doing. Brokers are hit on by everybody and their brother. I just think it's an easier play. I think you should play both sides because, and also I don't know if I wouldn't put my buy box out there and go into wholesaler Facebook places and say, this is what I'm looking for. This is where I'm looking for it. And let them do the work. If they send you something, you put the offer in at 60%, you go on. Somebody finally says, yeah, I'll take that offer. Okay, we'll do our DDP and see if it's really worth it or not. And then you send the property manager out there, you start making friends with him, right? And he realizes you're a buyer and he's like, hey, I got this other guy. It's just like that. Or the broker, same thing. The broker's going to start seeing, once they see you're a buyer, then it's game on, right? But right now you're just another guy that's saying, hey, I think I might.
Right. Good stuff, Steve. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a mix. You'd never know. Again, the longer the listing, it all depends. I think what's happening is even new listings, this is probably the time to go all in on location. And you want to try to find the worst asset in the best location. I think it really is. I think more than ever, and I've really come to this realization probably in the last couple of months that, I did a meetup last night, and one of the discussions I was having with somebody was, they're like, why not buy a lower price, start in a lower price neighborhood? I said, here, I'll give you an example. And I talked about a couple areas of town. I said, so you could have bought in the mid 1990s, you could have bought in this particular area of town. It's a bad area of town. You could have bought in that area for about a duplex for about 50,000. Today, you can buy a duplex in that area for about 100 to 200,000. Now, if you were in San Marco, which is a really good part of Jacksonville, you could have bought a duplex or even I used a fourplex. You could buy a fourplex in that area in the 1990s for about 100,000. Today, it's $1 million. So the good neighborhood goes up 10 times where the bad neighborhoods don't. So you're never going to go wrong buying the right location, and you're looking for that property. There's this guy, Dolph DeRoos. And I think he's Australian or New Zealand, but he's fun to listen to. But he's a guy that is very much into, you can't go wrong if you buy the right location. And Daryl, you're looking around Berkeley in that area, you can't go wrong. And by the way, they just cleaned up all of San Francisco just because we had this nice visitor coming to visit the country. Did you hear about all that?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, where did everybody go? For years, it's been like that. And then all of a sudden, they're able to clean it up for one guy to get here.
You can't even get across the bridge to go over there now because
Really?
it's so busy right now with
That's
this APEC conference there in town.
I wonder anyway. But again, in that area, the most undesirable assets in the area right now are mixed use and office. And I would say that office buildings are probably, in some markets, probably have the most potential for an investment if you can figure out how to cash flow them, whether you convert them to apartments or whatever. I was looking at a friend of mine, Steve Jenick, is in Chicago, and I was looking at an apartment that he just posted a Facebook post. It was a residential apartment, amazing in downtown Chicago. And the ceilings had to be 30 feet inside of this apartment, and they were selling it for $3.5 million. But that's an example of an office conversion, and that was an office building. And you don't have those opportunities in places like Jacksonville, Florida. You have those opportunities in places like San Francisco. And if you buy a mixed use building, no investors, there's only a handful of investors out there who buy mixed use. Not telling you to buy mixed use, but it can give you opportunity that because you don't have the competition. And you're going to find an owner that knows maybe not, they don't have the competition either. In other words, I'm trying to sell this. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And when you and I were looking around San Francisco, there was a lot of vacancies in some of those places.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is surprising because it's such a desirable place for a lot of people want to live there.
Yeah, that's a great point, Dave, about the type A. This is like the time for A neighborhoods for sure. We also know that commercial is definitely heading for a distress, right? Like it's been long awaited. And if you're waiting, might as well wait near the A areas, the A neighborhoods in the A cities. A as in not like the absolute New York City and all of that, but at least in Nashville, Tennessee, and like all those cities that got overhyped during the 2%, the 2% time. And anybody was in like all those cities. And it's definitely, it seems like an opportunity might be coming up around the corner.
I feel it too. I think that's why you want to be in the market. You want to be hunting, because if you're not, you won't recognize a deal when you see one. I think that's part of it. I'm hoping that now we won't have a call next Wednesday, but I'm hoping that I want to run through the numbers on that ALF. Like I said, Benny didn't get back to me, which is not normal, but I'm still hunting those numbers, Encore. So
that'll be super. Yeah, that looks amazing. One thing I've realized, I talked to 3 to 4 folks. Nobody's really barking on the idea of seller financing. They're not really squirming, or that used to be the case a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And they would look at you like you're crazy to ask for seller financing. And they'll say, sure, we'll do 5%. But now, they're coming on the table, and I think that option is there more than what we might think.
Some of them are offering 35-40% financing. And maybe that's why Benny didn't get back to me, because I said, and I'm clarifying this paragraph where it says 35% financing. I think it was at 6%, amortized over 30 years, 25 years. That's the case. I said, I just want to be sure that they're willing to take a second position, because they might say, I want this much cash, and then I'll finance 35%. That's a different discussion than if I'm going to go secure bank financing of 60%. I'm going to raise some money for the value add strategy, but the seller's going to 35, or we take a loan for 65. You borrow 35 from, ideally, you could, if you get that situation, you get fully leveraged. And I say
Yeah.
full leverage, you can walk out at closing with potentially 100% of ownership and cash at closing.
Yep. Yeah, actually, this is the reason I brought up the whole thing on financing, because you and I talked about this thing, and then I talked to the financiers, and and I don't know if it is just the thing with the loan guys, or is it like a thing with the federal government, or like what the deal is, but they want to know how much you're putting up how much of your own cash are you like putting up. But I'm thinking syndication is one way to maybe circumvent that, like that own cash thing, because it's still cash, right?
Yeah.
But that thing does come up, whether it's SBA 7A or whether it's like any of these other conventional loans. This thing has come up a couple of different times.
Anytime you're doing SBA, it's always going to come up. With real estate, what the lender is going to require is, if they say, let's just say the numbers, we need you to have 35%. Like if we're loaning 65%, they want to see the 35% there at the title company. And that's where you use, there are these short-term lenders. They're called gator lenders. There's different things they're called, but they will fund that 35% all the way through to closing. And then you've got seller financing of 35%. So what happens is at closing, that 35%, you want to make sure you got enough to pay this gator lender. There's another name for it. I'll think of it here. But you want to make sure you have enough to pay them their interest, because they're going to get between 3 and 5% to carry you for 60 days. So when the bank says, okay, we're going to close in the next 60 days, so before we can begin a closing package, we want to see 35% in an account. So the short-term lender is going to put that money in there. And when that deal closes, their money gets paid back out. So you got to have enough fluff in there. So if the seller's willing to go 40%, which would be ideal, you get 65% bank financing, and say that this short-term lender brings 35% to the table. So you've really got all the money you need to close. And then when it all settles, you're going to have money left in your account because that lender got paid out, and the seller got their money, and you ended up with a pile of cash.
Right.
Bless you. So that's a creative way that you can get a deal closed. And of course, who wouldn't want to make 5% on their money in 60 days? That's why these short-term lenders, there are more people who do that. I didn't even realize that was a thing. There are a lot of people who take their IRA money and say, look, I'd rather not be in something for 5 to 7 years. I'd rather be in something in and out in 60 days and make 3 to 5%. If I do that 3 or 4 times a year, that's a way better return, and I get my money back.
Yeah, totally.
And so that's always a possibility. But also, you remember, when you close that way, what happens is you end up with, if you don't have a partner, you end up with 100% of ownership. That's the other side of it. Is imagine if you can own 100%. If you have a partner, it doesn't matter. You're 50-50. Instead of you're getting 30% of a syndication, now you could buy an asset with a lower cap rate, because you're not paying out so much to your investors. If you're buying for the income, you see what I'm saying? If you can buy something and not tie up any of your own money and walk out of closing with $150,000 a year of income, and you haven't tied up any money, what does it matter what you're going in cap rate? What does it matter if you overpaid for the property, if it's in an A neighborhood or a good B neighborhood? What does it matter? Because it's going to appreciate. Now you got all the income. It's a different game when you find the sellers. And that's why I was surprised Benny didn't get back to me, because those are the deals he's always got. He's really big in mobile home parks. I hadn't seen him put too many ALFs out there. But yeah, those assets are out there, even in cities like San Francisco, Seattle. I think those are things you could accomplish in those cities.
Yeah. Seattle side, I think I'm beginning to think the best way to approach it is probably have to look for like off market. And because there's very few, if you look at listings, there are barely any listings in the area. And it's just crazy. It's very hot. And it's not like there's the big demand for assisted living. I try to reach out to like few of the owners, local owners also, like on LinkedIn and all of that, and trying to do a cold outreach, but not cold that cold also, but like just do some sort of an outreach to reach out and see if I can build connections that way. Then you can be a part of a deal or kind of that as well. So that's the other approach. But yeah, there like Florida, I saw there were so many good deals they're looking at. I just reached out to a bunch of them. We'll see what comes out, and Georgia too. So both areas are looking promising for now. So let's see.
Awesome. All right, guys, you want to cover anything else today or talk about anything else?
What are you guys doing for vacation? Or
I just came
the
back from
holiday season?
Aruba.
Wow.
You always look you're on vacation.
I'm going to tell you
I
right
think you
now,
nailed that look.
go to Aruba for no other reason
Uh-huh.
than they have the best chocolate cake
Get out.
ever.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Nice.
there is a place right across from our resort that we were at, and man, it was it was amazing. There was a lot of other fun stuff to do, but the chocolate cake, man, that sealed the deal. My name is Steven. I'm a chocoholic. So, but yeah, I
Nice.
had it twice. But don't worry, it wasn't one day after another. I waited 2 days. Okay, so it was okay.
All right. The guilt you have abated the guilt then.
Yeah, and
Sure.
you went at a good time to go to Aruba. If you go to, so the Caribbean is ideal, but Aruba is really Southern Caribbean, and Aruba has almost a desert on the.
It is a desert, 18 inches, 18 inches a year. They got these trees that are about 20 feet tall, very wide, and usually in the middle of the trees are these cactus about this thick around, 5 or 10 of them, and they're symbiotic together. And it's a desert, but it's a nice one.
Yeah, I've been there. My wife and I've been there. We've traveled almost all the Caribbean, not all of them, but quite a few of them. Certainly all of them regionally. What I mean is, if you go to the British Virgin Islands, we've been to a lot of them, but not all of them in the British Virgin Islands. The Aruba.
We've decided we got on a kick with Cancun because there was this crab place that the crab legs are like this big, and it was really good. And then it was always the food places for me. And there's this place called the Big Steak Argentina Steakhouse, and which we think we saw a mob boss there. I'm pretty sure that we saw a mob boss there, but that's another story. But then we realized that we stopped not liking Cancun, not because of the food, but we're shoppers. So we go out and we buy stuff for the kids and this, and so we go to Aruba again. What are we going to buy anybody, right? So it's like we're going to have to go. We decided we're going to go someplace different every time because it's new to us. Even though it's always the same thing, the stalls and the people. But you know what? We had to buy an extra suitcase. Dorina was like, "Why are you so many suitcases?" They were only half full, and then we had to buy another one. I was like, "This is why, right?" But I got it. It went from $93 to, is it $70, something like that? Yeah. So I was like, I like to negotiate. My wife is like, oh my God, but it's my fun time. I'm on vacation. I get to negotiate with you. You can't do that at Walmart. They look at you like you're crazy, right?
You can.
So,
You can negotiate at the self-checkout, but you get in trouble for it. Yeah.
I did get at Dillard's once. Gosh, this is about 40 years ago. I got a leather jacket for $25. It was a $150 jacket. It was on sale, and I found the zipper was slightly broke and blah, 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 blah. I'm a negotiator. I really like to make the deals. And we got these coasters for our water aerobics class that we go to. There's about 20, 25 people in there. I bought about 20 of these water coasters, and I walked up to her and I'm like, it's $7 for 6 of them, right? And I'm like, how much if I bought 4 of these? What kind of discount could you get? $5 a piece? I'm like, okay. I don't care what it. She just said 10 cents off. I'd have been fine. Win.
That's cool.
Anyway, yeah, we just got back from vacation, so
Take more vacation.
Very cool.
DMV, baby.
I'm staying
LA,
home to
LA.
answer your question. I'm staying home for Thanksgiving. Family's coming here.
Yep, same.
Nice. That's always fun.
I got 2 turkeys thawing out in the refrigerator. One's going to be smoked, one's going to be baked, and then all the
Nice.
sides and trimmings. I'm the chef at the house, so everything will be, I'll be prepared for it all. Actually, my wife does the mashed potatoes and the fried potatoes. That's her, and sweet potatoes.
Same in our
That's
house.
her.
I do the bird. She does all the sides.
Yeah.
Which is harder. I get the easy job. It's way easier to do the bird than to do.
No, that's the only sides that she does. I do everything else.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you staying in Seattle?
For Thanksgiving, yes, we'll be staying in Seattle. We'll probably have some close by friends come over home. But December, I'll be going to a good week-long vacation to Puerto Vallarta
Okay.
with a few of our other friends. So that will be fun. I enjoyed that a lot last time, and the kids love the beach. So we'll have
There you go.
have a good time.
For me, I'm going down to LA.
Okay.
I got a nephew down there, and his wife is getting ready to have a baby. And so it'll be my sister, my brother-in-law, my in-laws from my nephew's wedding, my wife, and we're just gonna hang out, and we'll leave Tuesday because we don't want to leave Wednesday because Wednesday is the biggest travel day in the year ever. So we're
Crazy,
gonna
but
get out
true.
here Tuesday, come back on Saturday, not Sunday, but Saturday morning.
I understand. Everybody have a
Nice.
great Thanksgiving, and
You too, Jay.
good seeing you guys. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
You
guys.
too.
good to be
You guys
back.
too.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a
Steve,
nice
I'll
time.
talk to you too, by the way.
Yeah, I'll give you a call or a text, something. You'll hear from me tomorrow sometime. Everything has changed around. We're doing stuff different, and I just got to get my calendar and everything set up so that it doesn't cross everybody else's. So
Sounds good.
Were you saying that to me, Daryl, or Steven? I didn't hear
I
you.
was talking to Steven.
Oh,
in
good,
this case,
good.
yeah.
All
but
right.
he'll talk to you too, David. Don't.
No, we
He's
talked.
not
We
a
always
hater.
talk to David.
He texts me stuff, so good. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.
All
Have a
right.
great
Thank
Thanksgiving.
you.
Take care. All right.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
That's all for this episode of The Investor Impact. Stay tuned for the next episode and don't miss out on the opportunity to learn and grow alongside this powerful inner circle.